We're going to bridge a gap here because we're going to move on to talking about tactics in non-league football, and we will touch on this later. As Mark rightly said, we've got pitches and facilities to come in the second hour, which is going to be a big debate. We're going to bring Bob in on that as well. As far as tactics go, we've talked about developing the youth game and coaching a certain way. Is there a certain way that you have to be successful in non-league football? We've got, we've obviously got all of you guys in from different levels. Hayden, I've watched Merstham a few times this year, know the way that you like to play out the back and passing. Is it a case of you can play any way to be successful, or does sometimes non-league football not lend itself kindly to a passing style of game?
Well, it doesn't, does it? There's no question about it. It doesn't, because...
We've done that one, that's it now. We can.
Yeah, no. Non-league football, 99% of the time, in my view, is nothing to do with football. Because I have to stand there and listen to these meatheads screaming seconds, turn them, good areas, and to me that's nothing to do with football. Football is about an organisational skill, a technique, preparing the players properly to make sure you can lay down a strategy to bring the best out of the players. And in my eyes, is nothing to do with rolling the ball to the fullback. The fullback gets the ball from under his feet and bombs it forward about 60, 70 yards. Fortunately, there's probably only me, Junior, and Jamie Howe in the Ryman Premier Division that think that.
I've got to tell this story about a time when we sat down a few weeks ago. I sat down with Hayden. We were talking about a completely unrelated thing to coaching football, and it was about, I think we were talking about defenders. Nemanja Vidic came up, and I remember saying that the ball was played down the channel, and from that moment your eyes sort of rolled at me as if to say, what do you mean in the channel? What the ball was sort of hit down a channel, and it went from there. You obviously play a great passing style of football. That's what you try and coach you. Let's get another opinion on it though. Is there a way of playing in this league that you have to do? Is it going against the grain to try and pass the ball in non-league football?
No, I agree with Hayden, but I think times are changing. I think you win, I think, massively. Like we done really well last year because we played so many old school teams that couldn't pass the ball, and that's all we do, pass the ball. So we were playing certain games where we actually knew we'd win before we turned up, just purely based on the style of play, and managers that couldn't cope, managers and coaches that couldn't cope with teams that had a certain pattern. Don't get me wrong, there are still managers out there that have got an effective long ball game and it's difficult to break down, and they do it meticulously. There are teams out there that have won leagues. I think our friend Douse,
he'll go to hell, that man.
There's
no doubt about it.
One Ryman Prem, and Alan's style is pretty direct, and over the years he's probably honed it. But I think it's definitely changing, and teams are getting left behind that are sticking with the old methods.
I don't think it is changing. I'm sorry.
Well, that's why we're turning up for debate.
It's certainly not changing in the Ryman Premier Division.
Let me just ask you, hey, if
to be fair, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, but I mean, I do understand. I'd like to think I'm a purist, but again, you have to be adaptable because I know we're going to go on to it about the pitches, and there's times you can't play good football.
Let me give you an example.
Oh, yeah.
In the semi-final of the Ryman Premier Division playoffs, Dulwich played Bognor. It's a football match. The two best teams in the league are fighting out for promotion. Now, John Coventry is a good guy and he's a friend of mine, but Dulwich go and play East Thurrock in the final, and it's nothing to do with football. The pitch is so hard and bobbly, you might as well played it in the middle of the road. The wind is swirling around like it's a hurricane, and this is coaches 9-10 months work on the line. And anybody that thinks that's anything to do with football is wrong.
Are we saying that the weather came into it? Are we just saying the tactics or the...
No, we just couldn't defend corners, to be fair.
Yeah.
Is it... But finally, we've got to go to the news in a minute, but let me just ask this one. Is it the case of we want coaching to be done the right way? It's proved the last 5-6 years, England learnt their lessons from 2010. They're starting to pass the ball a bit more at the very top level. If you can pass the ball, if you can play that way and you're a good coach, is there any harm in particular games in saying, do you know what, I'm going to change it up now, I'm going to play direct, we're going to do this, that and the other?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting actually. Just a very quick story. As I mentioned earlier on, we played Brighton in the Sussex Sussex Challenge Cup final, and I spoke about Brighton earlier on, and I was speaking to their coach after the game, and we had a very tough first half against them. We changed tactically second half, and we were far more successful second half. But the thing that really struck me as what he commented on was that he said that he had probably 3 or 4 different ways that he would have got his team to have played in that final, depending upon how we were playing. And I think with these guys, for me, that's part of the skill. It's about situational game management for me. It can be about the conditions. It can be about who you're playing. It's about deciding on what the best course is for that game. And I think if you can apply 3 or 4 different approaches, depending on, you're probably going to have a better chance than being a one-trick pony.
Yeah, fascinating debate. I'm not sure if we've gone off topic or not from youth football to tactics. We'll continue this on in the next hour. Loads coming up on the show.